now that my batteries are in, I need to go through the process of laying out all my electrical components and getting those installed in the van. So what I've done is I've actually cut out a piece of cardboard that is an image of the front of the wheel well cover where I plan to mount everything. And my actually not planning on mounting directly to the wheel well cover. I'm going to mount on a different piece of wood and trying to get the layout of everything. And even though I don't have the cables here, I know that I've got to allow space for the cables. I am taking basically my wiring diagram here and translating it into more of a real world schematic. I've done a little bit of sketching here, and I thought the inverter, in this diagram, I thought the inverter would be on the front here, but it's really pretty big, and I think I may actually move it that direction on the wall towards the front of the van, which when I show you in the van, that'll make more sense. But basically, I'm trying to figure out where everything can go here that it will fit well and provide the access I need before I actually start screwing things down to the wooden panel. So that's where I'm at right now. It's a little bit slow going since I'm unfamiliar with a lot of this electrical, but I'm getting there bit by bit. As part of this process, when I opened up my battery boxes to check my battery cables, which I ordered 15 inches from end to end, and these are custom made from Battery Cables USA, they are not quite long enough. I'm about maybe an inch too short, unfortunately. And that's because I spaced the boxes out a little bit. And I think when I measured this, I didn't account for that. I think I was planning maybe the batteries would be one in front of the other, in which case the cable would go this way and it wouldn't be a problem. But since they're side by side, I need a bit longer cable. And I reached out to the company and they were very accommodating. They said basically I can just order a new set that's a couple inches longer and go ahead and send these back and get a refund. So really, really happy about that. And as I'm out here, you can see where I plan to put the inverter and the charger and everything on a panel that fits right here in the front. However, now that I've added these little cubby holes, I don't have as much space there. And I'm also thinking, because the inverter's got 3 outlets on the end that I can plug in, I'm probably going to mount the inverter here, just to the right of the batteries. This is the bed area, and then I'll be able to have access to those plugs through the rest of the van. So fingers crossed that that's going to work. I need to do some measuring and make sure and proceed from there. Getting good at being wrong. So anyway, yeah, this van's smaller. It looks so big on paper when you start mapping everything out, but in reality, when you start building stuff, yeah, there's not a whole lot of space. You have to be really creative. So what I may end up doing is putting my inverter against kind of the back wall of the bed, if that makes sense. Let me show you. That pillar right there is going to, and there's going to be a wall coming out from that pillar right there that goes across the van, and the bed will be on this side and that side will be living area. So if I put the inverter along there, sticking out a little bit, I think that will work, and I'll just run the cables kind of behind and into the inverter and then have access through the wall to the plug. So I think that will work, but yeah, having to get creative with spacing because it seems really small as I'm sitting here looking at my future home. Well, once again, I'm wrong. The end of the bed is going to be right about here, and that space over there is going to be the cabinet for this refrigerator. So I don't have actually a whole lot of space here. I'm going to have to probably put my inverter against the wall this way. Apparently I'm not the only one with projects this morning. The neighbors next door are doing something construction-wise, so it's kind of noisy, and I'm having a video in between their saw cuts and that sort of thing. But I'm going to give you a quick update of where I am with the van. I am starting to pre-wire, and I'm going to run the 12 gauge wire for my DC loads in this area here. I just put wire loom on the 4 gauge cable that's running up to the front, and that will connect my DC to DC charger. I don't have the actual connectors on the wire yet, so I need to come back and do that. I've just got them set in position. And then I also went ahead and put wire loom, I don't know if you can see down there, but that is where the cable is running for the rear view camera, and I wanted to protect that wire as well. What I've learned is that I don't have nearly enough wire loom. I used pretty much all that I had except for this little bundle right here. So I have to order more of that, and I'm starting a shopping list so I don't have to run to the store every 5 minutes, which is what it feels like. This is the 12 gauge cable that I ordered. I've got, I think I have a lot of it. I can't remember if I got 100 feet or what the actual amount was, but it was a good amount. Hopefully it'll be enough and will get me through what I need. All right, so I am trying to translate my plan into reality here, which is a little bit confusing since I haven't done it before. I've got some long runs, so coming from over here where my battery is to the area beside the bed, I'll have two lights that have dimmers and USB ports in them. Those will be on one circuit. Then I have another circuit coming across that's actually going to power LED strip lights that are going to run under the kitchen counter and also under the step, I hope. And then another circuit will be running along the center of the van, but there's also going to be a switch over here by the door, so I need to run cable for that so it can branch off. And then another circuit here is going to run along the wall and provide a charging station and some lights there, as well as monitors. So the battery monitor and all of that stuff is going to be on a little wall here. So I need to run multiple sets of wire to make all that happen. And I'm just trying to figure out the lengths that I need with a little bit extra so I don't end up short. Like I said, that's the amount of wire that I have. And I'm already starting to guess that I might need some more. They're from a place called Crimp Zone online. They were very fast to get it to me, and I did get 100 feet of each of these, so I'm going to go ahead and measure it out and just see if it's enough. I had to tie my little helper to the bear to keep him from digging in the garden. I wasn't super successful. You can see his little pile there, and the bear didn't look too happy about it either. I'd like to keep my runs fairly simple and as short as possible, because the longer the wire run, the more resistance there is. So for the ones that are going to be up there, which is my dining area, I'm going to come along here, down through this pillar, across here, and then out in this area so I can come in and attach to my 𝘼𝙗 DC panel right here. Hi, florist. You're going to help chew on the wires. That's the advice that I got from my bestie. That's the advice that I got from Andy, and not my Andy, but Brandy's Andy, who helped me with my electrical plan. So shout out to Andreas. Andy, thank you very much. Hopefully I will not burn down my van, and I'll do my best not to lick wires. So then I will label these like I have labeled these, and all of my wires hopefully will have labels, so I'll know what's what. And once I figure out lengths, I will also go ahead and run loom through here to protect the wires or wrap them with tape. Pull this up, I'm going to use my fish tape.
It's tragic, we're not all elastic, but maybe there's magic, believe you could have.
This is the wire that will run my 12-volt charging station, and I can also branch off this circuit for the reading lights. I just have to cut it off at this end, a little extra wire, just in case, and then label it. So I'm going to label this for dining. Bingo! Oh, here, but I see there's an end. Take a little break and untangle. Okay, I just had to uncoil whatever was left of my 100 feet of black wire, because the way it was coming off the coil was making a huge mess. The red so far is behaving much better. I wish that I had somehow figured out how to pre-install my wire loom, because it would be nice to have this wire all protected, and it's not. I took a little break because my brain was hurting over the circuits in my diagram. So I'm actually trying to list out the circuits right now and figure out which ones I could maybe combine, because there's only so many slots available on my 𝘼𝙗𝙤𝙪 DC box. So I think I can combine the max air fan and the water pump, and possibly run the strip lights off the same wire that goes for the main lights. I think I can do like a branch connection like that. One wire and then split off into 2 circuits, I think. So hopefully that will work. I mentioned a little bit ago that I wanted to make my runs as short as possible, but for the items that are going to be on that side of the van, I know I could come across maybe from one of these ribs here, but since they're so close to the roof of the van, I'm a little concerned about that. I think that the wiring would be a lot more protected if I actually go over and up the rear panel there, rear, what do you call that? Column? Yeah, that's a column, I think. Anyway, so I'm going to follow the van wiring, existing van wiring, and I'm going to go up and over and around, and then drop a circuit here for switches, and then also here for my LED lights that are actually going to run around, and I'm going to have a strip right up there, which should be kind of cool. I was a little concerned about all these wires getting tangled up and knowing what is what. So I'm going to actually start tying them loosely with some electrical tape every few feet, just so I can keep them grouped together. I'm going to start that on this stretch of wiring right here, the one that's going up and over to the other side. And then I can come back and do that here and eventually get them all into a wire loom. I am just about done with the pre-wiring. I've got wiring on all sides of the van except the front, and have this much wire loom left, so I need to get a little bit more of that. That's going to go over the first wires that I ran, which are over in this area and up there. And then of my 100 feet of wire, I have this. Yes, I've used 100 feet of 12 gauge, and I'm going to go ahead and order just probably 20 or 30 more just to make some extra connections. I do have a few places where the wire's not actually run, like this is the wire for my reading lights, and that's going to connect into the wire that goes over here. So as I branch off some of those circuits, I can make those connections, but I'm feeling pretty good about it. I did spend a good amount of time just kind of puzzling to make sure I was pulling things in the right place and allowing wire for switches and things like that. Hopefully it's all going to work out right, but it's for me, trial and error, and as always, a learning process.